everybody. Welcome back to the Two Comma Coffee Club. I'm here with Valerie and Michelle. I don't know
Hi.
on your screen, but she's below and she's over there. Yeah, we're so happy to have you guys with us. So today, the main topic is going to be natural versus forcing when it comes to conscious manifesting. And so I think the best thing would be starting off with a Neville quote. Whoever wants to go.
All right. Michelle had a great quote that we were just talking about. So why don't you lead with that?
Okay, well, I got two, so I don't know what one. Should I just say both?
Yeah,
sure.
Hi, everybody. The time it takes your assumption to become fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be, of already having what you desire. That's the first one. Second, the fact that it does not feel natural to you to be what you imagine yourself to be is the secret of your failure. Regardless of desire, regardless of how faithfully and intelligently you follow the law, if you do not feel natural about what you want to be, you will not be it. So, Neville's secret is the naturalness of your state you are walking from, because you can know all the theory behind it. People read this stuff for years and still do not consciously manifest what they desire.
Quote it all for you, and they know it exceptionally and can give the whole rundown, write a whole book on it, and then still
not feel it, man.
Yeah,
they're not feeling it. They're wondering why they're hitting speed bumps and a lot of obstacles, why they're still having the problems. And there's another comment from our mentor 2020 where he points out the reasons that struggle occurs for us. And he says struggle, and he's referring to also one of Neville's comments, believing in the reality of your own imaginal acts. And like we say, if you can't hold on to the state or it's getting difficult, it happens when you are doing things incorrectly. And it's not like, oh, whatever it is, it's perfect. There is a kind of formula to this. Right. And it's one of the things we believe very strongly in is simplicity and ease and actual speed. People think, oh, how long should my sessions be? And they try to, kind of quantify it that way. But he says, if you're adding in stuff you don't need, so you might be giving meaning to things that don't mean anything, or they're just the very basics of manifesting, of occupying your state. And this is one that I think so many of us run into, old beliefs and behaviors that are still holding us prisoners of the past. Yeah. We're still in something of a victim state by the past, and the beliefs and patterns and behaviors that are there that we think we're getting away from, we're actually still kind of pulling them along with us. We're dragging these things along.
They're bad habits.
They're habits, right? They're habits that keep coming up. And sometimes people will say, oh, that's the bad karma. But really what that is patterns that are showing up, and that are, that we're still bringing along with us into our states without realizing it. I mean, if we realize that, once we see that, then we begin to relax around it. And then we suddenly find, oh, wow, this is really, we're manifesting, because we're wondering why we think we're trying to manifest a better job, but we end up having a coworker we're not getting along with. There's something that's an unlovely experience when we're wanting to manifest a really lovely thing. And that's going to keep happening until we start to get hold of the very basic essentials. So anybody want to jump in and talk a little more about things that have been happening in the past?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, off the video, you know, we were talking before about childhood stuff that comes up, especially if you have family that comes around. It can almost remind you of the old man, you know, like you're somewhere in life and here comes mom or dad saying things or bringing up something, and you're like, I thought I have moved on from that. Like, I clearly don't identify as that person anymore. And why is this coming back? And then you, it's almost like you question yourself. Like, is this still in my experience? Like, am I still here with that? And I mean, that's where revision comes in and can be really helpful in that. But yeah, like, Michelle, what were you going to say? I just completely
I was just going to say about the revision is that we did one on revision. So anybody that's listening or watching, they can refer to the revision. I think for me, the naturalness of stuff is that people hang out for what they call the big desire, the big win. And actually, if we use habit as a good thing that can work for us when we're trying to be in state, so like we're all drinking a cup of coffee, the imaginal act, the naturalness of the imaginal act could be if you wanted to be in a new home, how would you feel making your first cup of coffee in the morning? Like how natural Lene felt making her coffee when she was manifesting her home. And it's actually using habit to stretch you so that you're then using it for the state that you desire to be in, rather than our old habits. Like Lene, something comes along from the past and hits us like a freight train and puts us straight back there, and you think, God, I thought I'd got over this.
I know.
Well, maybe it's just about we can revise it, and it is actually about that old habit's died, and it's just about our perception of the habit that just we've shifted. So just remember, just acknowledge it and go, I shifted, I've moved from that, and then you move.
Yeah,
right.
You don't want to dwell, because your state is your dwelling place, and you don't want to go there big. And actually what you've got to notice is that you've already moved, because if something hits you like that and you think, I've shifted from this, yes, that's exactly right, you've shifted. So at least you've acknowledged it. That's the good thing, because if we were dwelling in that and going straight back into the old habit of feeling that way, then we wouldn't be acknowledging it. So you're right, you've already shifted from it, so you just don't stay there.
That's right. You don't want to dwell in your dwelling place unhappily. That's the thing. And wonder, that takes you back to what stories you are imagining around things that are going on, and starting and losing touch with what you're aware of. So you can think that you're doing it. Sometimes people, confuse where you're even moving toward. Someone said to me, I have to see myself as the operant power. I have to see myself as God. No, you don't have to anything. But it's what you are. So if you're thinking that it's some kind of struggle to make yourself feel that, then you're out of sync with with what's essential here. So
you're just not getting it right.
Yeah, you're not getting it right. You're not relaxing around it and allowing, because the key is always to be not to say to make it about you. Usually when we say someone is making it about them, we're usually trying to say they're kind of always trying to create opera. They're drama queens. Oh, they're just a big drama queen. They're always making it about them. But that's not what when we say, we really don't say to make it about us. We really say, I'll let it be about you. And there is a big difference. It's not feeling like you have to kind of be the center of attention. It isn't that. It's that you are everything.
And you are.
So it's recognized you are. That is your essential nature, is that you are God. You are the first cause. There isn't anything else. And so everything is reflecting you in some way or another. So why not relax? What is there to fight? In the end, we do tend to fight a lot of things about ourselves.
Yeah.
But if we let go more of those things, then, and really recognize that we have this huge power, and not to be afraid of that or how we're going to use it, because it's what we are, and we start to really understand what Neville is talking about, it gets easier. Sometimes in fits and starts, but it gets easier.
There's oh, sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to say, just on the topic of selfishness or center of attention and all of that stuff, because that was one of the things that, growing up, I was called a drama queen. I was told I always want to be the center of attention, and I'm a Leo. So what are Leos known for? Anyway, so like all of that was so fitting, and I was really down on myself about it. And of course, then coming across Neville Goddard and finding out, God is my imagination, that of course even more made it like, oh God, it's even more about me, but that can rub people wrong. And I think, so I use an example to show that it's not wrong, and that everybody does it anyway, whether you're acknowledging it or not. So you might as well just drop the bad meaning behind selfishness. But everybody is selfish. And if you think about it, I use the example of, say, a soda. Say I go over to my mom's house and I bring myself a soda to drink at her house. And then she turns to me and says, why didn't you bring me a soda? And calls me selfish for not thinking of her. But who is she thinking of in that moment? Because I didn't bring her a soda.
Yeah, she's thinking of herself because you didn't bring her one.
So even when people are like, you are selfish, they're literally they're reacting.
It's a reflection of themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it. So you might as well drop it. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just, that's how we operate. So embrace that and know that about everybody. And there's your freaking operant power right there,
There's the opposites. It's selfless or selfish. And actually, you're not being selfish by being the operant power and it actually being all about you. You're being totally selfless. And it's the misconception, because being selfish means that you're demanding the attention, but by being selfless, you're simply surrendering to who you truly are.
Yeah.
And there's the difference.
Yeah, and I think sometimes those actions, you have to be prepared too. That a lot of times people are not going to understand or interpret that. So it's going to, you're going to be true to yourself. But when people see someone who is true and authentic, they can, because they're reading it a certain way, they're going to misunderstand it, and so it may require more using other tools like pruning and revision and other things, so that we're not knocked out of our state by things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
if you're actually in a state of where people where that you're selfish rather than selfless. Selfish is when things become forced and you're persevering and you're finding things a struggle. So if you actually just surrender and just be who you are, then none of that feels forced or that you've got to persevere. Because I always find at the beginning when I was doing this, and on occasion now, I dig up the old seed because I persevere, because I always then think, oh, have I done enough? When I was doing my imaginal act, had I done enough? Was it natural enough? Oh, I better do another one tonight, and then I'd better do, and you keep going and you keep persevering. But actually, Neville, and I used to get confused because Neville would say, you do it every night until it happens.
Yeah.
Whereas 20 says, God, put as many buns in the oven as you can, because once that's done, when you've planted a seed, you don't need to re-dig it up and replant it every single day. So once you feel the naturalness of it and there's a knowing of it being done,
Yep.
you don't need to persevere. You don't need to add anything, because that's when you start it starts being forced and it starts to be struggled, and then you just get it all wrong. So I've actually, the learning of it is, people can learn this the easy way or they can learn it the hard way. And the hard way would be to keep persevering and digging up your seed. Or you can simply just think, it's done. You just, that it's so natural that it's done and you don't have to repeat it, do you?
Right.
Well, that's right. And you'll also feel that if you go to that state, and you'll kind of feel like, why am I in this state? It's like already happened. You feel so relaxed that you almost forget about it. And that's something else Neville has pointed out too, that it's like, I don't need to keep coming back to that state. It's there, home. It's there.
Yeah, you're already in.
Yeah.
The important thing is to realize you're doing this all the freaking time anyways. The emphasis we're putting on this desire and making it a whole ordeal of, oh, I gotta lay down and I gotta do this. You are not doing that with other shit. And like, I'll just give an example. I was last week, I was talking to my daughter, and I won't bring up, the whole thing, but basically she's like, hey, can you find out if we can get my phone back? And I said, well, I haven't called to see what's going on with it. But I'll do it sometime this week. Well, then it almost felt forced doing it, because I'm like, there's a reason they haven't called me yet, so I just let it go. I'm just like, it'll work itself out. Yesterday, I just get a freaking phone call. It's ready. Come get it. And so that was so natural to just be like, instead of forcing myself, oh, I got to make this phone call. What if it wasn't ready yet? What if they didn't know what they're doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a reason that I felt into that and was like, yeah, I mean, they have my phone number, they can call me, it's not a big deal. But yeah, and it worked out. But that's what I'm saying, is that was natural. Like, I didn't have to sit there and let me manifest a phone call, let me imagine them calling me every day, or say I did call and they're like, it's not ready yet. Well, now let me lay down and imagine the phone call. Like,
right.
I'm not doing that. You're just moving along in life, knowing
exactly
knowing these things. And so same thing buying a car. There's a process to buy a car. So instead of fighting the whole way, accept it and be like, duh, this is natural to do this. This is natural to buy a house. Like, start normalizing things,
Well, that's right. The other thing that 20 points out, I mean, it's like, he says, don't just bump into it. You find this out, and then there is a point of kind of resting. It doesn't have to be hours, but it's a sense of, I think, like a completion. It's a nice, solid, kind of comfortable feeling where you might be using, what what Neville called the gates, your senses. You're using your touch. You're using, what is it? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Where are you? What are you touching? So you give yourself time to open into this. I mean, it's like when people love to read. You read a story. You love stories that maybe have a lot of detail in them. So, in a sense, it's that you are really developing you're imagining almost a story around it where it's but you're the central you're the actor in the story, you're everything. So use that to your advantage, so that you feel that you've created a complete, or that you have imagined, I should say, since creation is finished, imagined a complete scene. And here's another thing I just want to say. It came to me the other day because it's really amused me quite a lot. I think because the concept of creation is finished originated in the biblical era, the early AD of Christ, right after they started writing, that people think everything that was created was the mountains and the rivers and the rocks and the trees and the animals and Adam and Eve and a few other people, and maybe the wheel and fire and oxen and caves.
Mhm.
But it's really everything that ever is, will be. It's spacecraft. It's it's the Tesla. It's everything.
Yep.
It's everything. It's electricity. It's the internet. It's all of it. So it's people. So don't ever get mixed up on that idea by creation is finished, that it was just the things that you read about that are mentioned in the Bible, because everything is included here. It's all now. It's all now.
That's an interesting addition.
Sorry, I had big lights shining on me. I had to go sort it out.
Okay. So anyway, so I thought that was kind of a fun point, that you have to realize that if that's the thing you're occupying, it's a business, it's whatever it is. It's just it's new and dynamic, and whatever it is, it's not something that only existed in ancient times.
I know it. I think that's what people, sorry. I am like, you got a tickle in my throat. But I think like hello religious people, they get caught up in that olden timey like theme vibe.
Yeah, that's the fundamentalism of it.
Because the Bible was written, 2,000 years ago or whenever, and we're supposed to follow it, and these are the 10 commandments and blah blah blah. And it's like, hello, like if this is God, why would he keep us so like unevolved back then? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at the churches. Like, the churches are huge and dramatic and music and lights and all this other stuff. God didn't talk about that, did he? No, not in the Bible. So like the concepts are just so ridiculous. So like I like added, because when I argue with people of religion, I'm going to bring that up.
That's just what they are, though, isn't it? Is that they're concepts?
Yeah, concepts.
They're interpretations.
Yeah, it's the story. It's the story that you end up taking in and telling,
Regardless of any religion, the only thing we can truly believe in is ourselves.
Well, that's right. That's why
that's for
consciousness.
certain.
Consciousness is the only reality. That always comes back. That always comes back to that. And you do see that in the Eastern traditions. It's just said in other ways, but it actually is basically the same thing, So, I mean, it's like the literal interpretations are the very fundamental interpretations. This is it, and people go to the churches where they teach that and they preach that as it's the letter of the way it's written, it's literal. But when you get to Neville says, no, the Bible is every character, every person who's written about in the Bible, male or female, is you. And it's just like a parable or an example of you. It's a state of consciousness that you're moving through all the way out to Christ.
That's the same as tarot, isn't it? Because the tarot is it's the fool's journey, and each tarot card represents a stepping stone, a phase, or a state of the fool's life that they're experiencing at that time. So this isn't new. This has been borrowed from way back.
That's right.
And the point is that your natural state comes from you and what you're experiencing, and so it's the naturalness. So if we go back to your daily habits, you have to utilize your daily habits in order to find the naturalness of a state so that you can manifest it. So does any of you guys, what's an example of a habit that you'd use? Like Lene used the coffee for when she was manifesting her home. What have you used, Val?
Just feeling home, that when I was manifesting, even with the ups and downs of what I went through, Isn't It Wonderful is very helpful on that too. Just kind of looking back about the ease that it all came together, and that
you used that phrase, oh, isn't it wonderful?
Isn't it wonderful? Yeah. And also kind of doing some imagining with someone around, that it's much later on, and kind of, we had so much fun at your housewarming, and we had such a good time. We always feel so good when we were there. And, just kind of, playing with, the experiences that other people had. So you're kind of sharing that out. Yeah. So it's just that feeling of community or friendship or relationships around it, which also expands on that. So it's so that gave it a feeling of warmth and comfort.
We're going to be talking about states in our upcoming summit. We're doing a session in the Neville series summit, and we're going to be discussing the state of wealth, aren't we?
We sure are.
And so that will be interesting for people.
Banishing money anxieties. Yes, indeed. It's going to be a big one.
So what dates is that?
Well, we're on track for early June, right, Lene? That's where we're leaving.
Yeah, so it'll be
so far.
Is it the 6th?
June 4th. Sorry, hang on, pulling up the calendar. So June 4th will be the first one. Will be the first class that evening. And then it'll be the 4th through the 6th. And we're looking at getting somebody else on the 7th. So it'll be a whole weekend and going into the first of the week in June. And our class will be on that Sunday, which is the 6th.
Right. It's going to be fantastic. And I think we're on at approximately 1 or 1:30. We don't know. We're going to finalize on the time, but it'll be Eastern Daylight Time.
Yep.
And we're each going to do a segment and question and answer.
Oh, it's going to be so exciting. There's going to be several people that are teaching using Neville Goddard. 2020's up. I think we've got Tony Doyle. There's us.
Jerica Glasper.
That's right.
Glasper.
We have David Breslow, who's our guest. And that show premiered last week, didn't it?
Today.
No, it's today.
It's today.
I don't know what day it is.
So That was a brilliant show. It was on last Wednesday, and if you didn't see it, then go check it out now. It's about the reality of spirituality with David Breslow. So he's going to be doing a segment. So there's going to be loads of people that are doing this. Anya, who we've had on our show,
Anya,
the manifesting queen. She's going to be doing a session, and we can't wait because nobody's ever done this before.
Exactly. And this is also a wonderful introduction to Neville Goddard and what he taught for those who are not that familiar. So if you're watching our show and you've been studying and practicing Neville's teachings for a while, but you have someone that doesn't really know, or that you've been trying to get them to understand better about it, it's a great opportunity for them to get a wonderful immersion introduction in a summit's a great way to do that, and have some awesome teachers and their unique perspectives on it. So a lot of different approaches to Neville and different aspects to work with. So to have fun with.
It's an absolute steal as well. I think you just pay for one ticket, and you pay just one price, and you get all of us for that one ticket price. It is amazing value, and you've got to go check it out now on www.imaginenewacademy.com. We will stick the link in the description.
Yes.
For everybody. And we are currently creating a new website, and that will be 2coffeeclub.com. So look out for that. We are also on Facebook. Please come and follow us on Facebook, because the majority of our stuff is there. We are really active on Facebook, and that's just search 2 Coffee Club. We have an Instagram account. We are on TikTok, and we are on YouTube. Oh, and Spotify podcast.
That's right.
We're everywhere. You cannot get away. So make sure you make yourself a cup of coffee and come and join us. And we will show you how natural it is to manifest your true desires.
Absolutely. So have we about covered our topic today? And
I think so.
Get ready for more things. That's great. So we will see you next time on 2 Coffee Club. Bring your mug, have a coffee, and join us.
Fill your cup.
Fill your cup.